Poor Things is if Frankenstein's monster had a feminist awakening. This is a very weird and very delightful film. It's got this whole like Jules Verne aesthetic to it, very turn of the century steampunk vibe, but it's about a girl, Bella Baxter, who's basically a Frankenstein's monster who is learning how to be a woman in the world as, you know, coming into the world as just an adult woman, but with the mind of a child at first. And it's definitely a film about the ways men try to control women and the idiosyncratic social norms we have. Like, for instance, at one point she's at a fancy dinner and she takes a bite of some food and doesn't like it, and she spits it out on the table, and you know, she's told that's not something you do in polite society. She's like, well, why should I keep it in my mouth if it's revolting to me? Which makes sense to me. I've never liked the idea that you should just continue eating something that you hate just to be polite to other people. I think you should eat things that, you know, are good. Emma Stone, she really nails it. We get to see her as basically just an adult baby who doesn't even know words yet. From that all the way to like this, you know, philosopher queen by the end of the film. Seeing her go through all of that, seeing the physical performance as she's like, you know, still learning how to move in her own body, all the way to the end. Quinn says, I thought you're supposed to spit it out into the napkin. Yeah, that is a more polite way to do it. Mark Ruffalo is in this film, and he plays an absolutely despicable, hilarious character. He plays this like conniving lawyer who like absconds with Bella and takes her on a trip of discovery through the world, which really just means he's trying to take sexual advantage of somebody that he perceives to be mentally deficient. And there's a lot of subject matter that if you look at it at the surface, like, this is very dark. And I was worried at the beginning because I'm like, she basically has a child's mind. I feel very weird about the ways in which everyone's sexualizing her, but that's kind of like, we get there at the end. Like it really is a story about learning to become a woman in the world. And Mark Ruffalo is such a pathetic character. He's such a bumbling idiot. He is constantly flummoxed and outwitted by, you know, this woman who is still learning what it means to exist in the world, simply because she's going into it without any of the social expectations that would stop people from doing more logical things. The film is definitely about self-discovery and sexual empowerment, especially. Bella basically independently comes up with the concept of enthusiastic consent. And the film, it has a very frank and usually comedic depiction of sex. And a lesser reviewer would talk about how much nudity is in the movie. I will simply say, don't see the film with your parents if that makes you uncomfortable. But I also wouldn't say that the nudity is necessarily like titillating, right? Like, it's not really portrayed in that way. And yeah, I guess I will talk about the nudity because the way it's shot is actually, it's not male gazy. It's very refreshing to see that kind of portrayal. If you see a naked man in a film, it's not always portrayed in a sexual context. Whereas because of the male gaze, basically anytime you see a naked woman, it is almost always in a sexual context. But even as scenes where there's explicit sexual content going on, you don't necessarily see Emma Stone's character as sexualized just because she is nude. I thought that was really interesting. Willem Dafoe plays the mad scientist who creates Bella, and he plays it so hilariously because he's like he's this amoral scientist. He has like this talk about how like morals are impeding the true work of pure science, which is very obviously like played up. Like, he's very obviously not dealing with his own trauma because his dad was a mad scientist who did horrible abusive experiments on him, but he is always talking about them fondly and ways that and about how he had to learn to let go of the pain that he was going through because the work of the science was more important. And like, it's the film does not portray this as like, you know, trying to justify any of it. It's really just showing how deluded you can be to think that, you know, doing objectively horrific things can be excused. so long as you have the right rationale for it. And he's still portrayed as a fairly positive, like warm paternal figure, even as he's doing horrible things. But I don't think that the film is going anywhere out of its way to excuse the bad things that he's doing. For one thing, like after Bella leaves his laboratory, he goes and builds another one, but he's like, I took out those pesky emotions. They were all causing a problem. And so they've just got this new Frankenstein's monster girl who literally is just like repeating single words and, you know, completely like unable to like advance or grow or anything like that, where like they don't really ever explicitly condemn those characters for having created her. It's just showing how the ways that they're trying to control women is just always backfiring or always leading to negative outcomes. It doesn't actually work. It's all of the ways that men try to control women, completely flummoxed by just the realities that women are people. It is a very explicitly feminist film, a very sexually empowering film. I think Emma Stone is probably going to win the Oscar for this one. I don't know if she necessarily has the strongest performance out of everybody who's going to be in that slate yet, because I haven't seen who's on the short list or anything like that. But I definitely think she's a strong contender here. Christopher Bilko says it was a book. The book took inspiration from real letters and changing them to be a mixed version. I don't know. Yeah, I know that it was based on a book, but I don't know how much the movie stayed faithful to the book. I haven't read the book. I couldn't tell you. And I like read a brief synopsis of the book, and it sounded like the book was more focused on Willem Dafoe's character and less on Bella Baxter. But yeah, I don't want to spoil too much of the film. It has lots of fun twists and turns, and I really enjoyed it. It was probably one of the best films that I've seen this year. Atheist Manda says, in a main character aspect, IMO Ruffalo blew it away and poor things. Yes, Mark Ruffalo should get an Oscar for this one. He plays an absolutely despicable character, and he plays it so well. He's so pathetic. I really like Mark Ruffalo as an actor, and I think he did phenomenally in this. He's a perfectly hateable character, played marvelously. Like from the first start, I think like within like 10 seconds of seeing this guy, I think I wrote down on my notes, oh, I hate him. Would definitely recommend seeing this one. I think it's going to do well at the Oscars. Hey, thanks for watching. Your view means a lot. Don't forget to toss me a like and subscribe and ring the bell. I stream Mondays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific and Sundays at 2 p.m., so catch me live and join in on the convo. You can find all my socials in the description below, and thank you to all my patrons, with a very special shout out to my Whale Shark tier patron Ryan D and my Anemone friend tier patron Pistol Cakes. Your support means the world. Catch you next time.